nothing like being lectured by a 51-year-old flamboyant spin instructor from Costa Rica.
That
Okay,
sounds exciting.
that's a lot of things put
It's-
together too. Wow.
He'd be a perfect book character.
Well, that way you've got another character waiting in the wings, just waiting for you to get done with another project, or you can include that character in this project you're on right now.
Yeah, probably not, but the voice and mannerisms are there because I do like categorize conversations
Mhm.
and people to keep those voices when I need them.
That sounds like a pretty good system considering how many voices you're coming across and doing and everything else.
Yeah, YouTube shorts are fantastic. My new fascination is the Shelby's guy from Shelby's in Ontario. Are you familiar with this?
No, I am not.
Okay, so Shelby's is a shawarma place that is in Ontario. You can I'll find the link later, throw it in there. But it was started by two guys who met in college, and it's this really interesting Middle Eastern Canadian fusion. But their social media and their commercials are hysterical. And I've been watching because the guy who does the commercials has a very stereotypical Arabic English accent,
Hmm.
and I have to do that for a book I'm doing right now. So I can
Hmm.
watch and laugh and go,
Oh,
"Ooh, that's how we do this."
I've been listening to a series that I really want to clip out the bloopers part of the audio stuff. It's a female narrator, and she just chews up the scenery in the bloopers. It is hysterically funny.
Native Middle East fusions, like all the spices are gone.
No, like
Uh,
you can get your shawarma with poutine on the side.
with that sounds absolutely fucking disgusting.
What you get your shawarma wrap and
Curry
your
poutine.
fresh and your fresh fries, and then you have your gravy or garlic sauce on top. I actually sounds kind of good.
The audio narrator, in case you're wondering, is Andrea Parsnow.
Oh yeah, yeah. She is a rock star at Podium. She's their leading one of their leading narrators.
She chews up the bloopers are truly bloopery funny because she wants to go ahead and insert her own commentary into what's going on and just goes off the rails. Like certain other people say they're not going off the rails.
Oh
I
my god,
mean,
babe.
trust me, if I'm narrating something, I mess up. Usually, it's mess up, jump, curse profusely, talk to myself, go back, punch in, and keep recording. And Brett, if you're ready to stay on the rails, are you doing that voluntarily, or do I have to get Paul to break out the rope to tie you to the rails? Because
Why am I catching strays? Why am I
Wait,
involved in
well,
this?
hang on a second now. I was wondering this as well. That no, never mind. I don't have any objection because this makes total sense. This makes total sense.
it makes
Mistress
total
V
sense.
does not have Mistress V does not have to be involved with the tying. She has minions for that, and Paul is obviously the tying minion.
I was gonna say all of my rope is currently being used for crafting things, but
Oh, so you just assume I have a mile of rope hanging around.
Wait a
Nice,
minute.
bristly hemp
Wait,
rope.
wait. You're gonna tie him to the rails, and you need a mile of rope. Is this some kind of body shaming going on right here? Are you
and the
saying
other
he is
and the other
portly?
thing and the other thing is you don't use hemp rope. The cheap is you go like cotton clothesline rope.
All time he spanks. It makes sense.
Ah, we do
And
not
Brett
kink
prefers
shame.
Mistress V. So there you go.
I got to get that tear up one of these days. One of these days.
Well, there is this place called OnlyFans.
I am well aware, but you know what? I don't have time for a new project.
Oh, I think that would pretty much consume your life fairly quickly.
I don't have time for a new project.
Not no, I would never do OnlyFans. I don't have time for OnlyFans.
Oh, wow. Howdy, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Dead Robot Society. I am Paul E. Cooley. Joining me today, Veronica Jagger and Terry Mixon. How the hell are you fine people?
Good.
Is that I?
Wow, so much excitement.
Ooh, that better.
So much excitement. Well, anything cool happened since last week?
Let's see. There's gossip.
Gossip is always fun.
I got hot tea to spill. You want to hear it?
Ooh, I want to hear it.
So, just between you, me, and the rest of the internet, if you haven't been following the cluster schmutz that happened at Readers Take Denver, so Readers Take Denver was a author and reader based event mostly for romance authors. It happened in Denver at one of the Gaylord hotel properties. It was a hot mess. Authors did not receive books that were supposed to be delivered. There were instances of their merch being thrown in like other rooms and folks going in and picking off stuff as swag. So imagine like shipping thousands of dollars of books and whatnot, only for it to suddenly walk off after being told that it would be delivered to your table. There were issues with security. Folks from other, usually at these kind of venues, there might be 2 or 3 different events going on. There were instances of folks from one event who were not badged for the Readers Take Denver event, sneaking in and harassing Readers Take Denver attendees and authors. There were issues with mobility and accessibility. After it was told, yeah, it's no problem if you have, a scooter or what have you. It was not accessible. There were issues with temperature, issues with water. Authors were ranked based on whatever decision someone made, if you were a rising author or not. But it was a hot mess. If you want to find out about it, I would recommend, I went to Threads. So right now for a lot of the chick lit romance, paranormal stuff, you want to be looking on Threads and you want to look at TikTok in like the book talk hashtag. But there are countless accounts of authors talking about what happened to them, why they will never go back, issues with the organizer, questions about the 503c, 501,
Whatever it is.
the nonprofit status that was going on. And for those who don't know, Threads is Facebook and Instagram's answer for Twitter. So it integrates with that. It's yet another social media thing, but
I put a summary link in live.
there you go. Go check Discord. But it's a hot mess. And I knew narrators who were there and they confirmed that it was as awful as
it sounds.
So for those of us who've been to events like 20 Books Vegas, I'm super, super grateful for the folks who organized that and put it on, because that's a gold standard. And to disrespect not just the readers and fans, but the authors as well, that's not cool.
No, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I made a note here so that I wouldn't interrupt your conversation, but when it's inappropriate to use cluster F, the appropriate replacement is goat rope.
Goat rope.
Thank you. Thank you.
The
So-
attendees weren't stealing. It was put in the free room, so they thought it was free. They thought it was swag, right?
Yes. So the organizers for the conference had said that people's materials, their books, stuff that had been shipped in ahead of time, would be delivered to their tables. And instead, it was thrown in a room, and attendees or readers went and picked through it thinking it was swag. So,
Lawsuit City, here we come.
yeah, because as we all know, not everyone starts out as an author. They usually have a life coming into it, and I bet plenty of them have some legal chops. So,
Yeah.
Sadly, events like that going wrong, it's not new, and it's going to happen again. Paul, do you remember when they had that kind of issue with the Comic-Con here in Houston like 4 or 5 years ago?
the face says he does.
Oh yeah.
Tell us stories, Paul.
Let's see. Are you talking about the one with the Sons of Anarchy?
Yes.
Holy shit. That little con was a disaster of epic proportions by the sounds of it. Apparently they didn't pay the people that came to show up, and one of the guys, I think it was Charlie Hunnam, was trying to get the manager out of his door, out of the office he was using at the con, to just basically beat his ass because he hadn't paid them. That con was not around the next year afterwards.
Clearly. Yeah. I would recommend, if you're interested, go just use the power of the internet, go to Google and learn how not. This is a cautionary tale.
Yeah,
and
it
it's
is.
to look for when if you're looking at conventions to attend or conferences to attend as an author or even as a reader, and to go meet authors. That's things you don't necessarily want to see as part of your experience. So yeah, that's my contribution. Terry?
I went and saw a great movie. 5 glorious stars out of 5 for watching The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Who doesn't want to go ahead and see Nazis get punched in the face and shot full of holes and other really terrible things happen to them?
I take it this was going on in the 40s?
Yes.
Okay, so it's another nostalgia run of Captain America beating people's asses.
Well, no, this was a creative retelling and embellishment of actual historical fact.
Oh, okay.
At the end of, close to the end of World War II, when the wolf packs were decimating shipping inside the Atlantic and keeping the Americans from sending supplies or joining the war effort, Churchill made the decision to approach some individuals of questionable
reputation,
dubious reputation, to go ahead and make sure that the supplies that kept those U-boats running were taken out of the picture. And because they were in a neutral port, it couldn't be officially sanctioned. This was one of those Mission Impossible things of, if you're captured, you're on your own. If the British capture you, you're going to jail. If the Germans capture you, much worse is going to happen to you.
You wish for a bullet head.
And in fact, the people that did this particular thing were the ones that became the Office of Strategic Whatever, the OSE, the CIA equivalent that emerged in Britain back in the day.
Okay.
So seeing Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson from Reacher fame as these type of people in there was a really good, fun way to watch this work. I particularly liked Alan Ritchson's character because he didn't use a gun the entire time. He was a Swede, so he was talking with a Swedish accent the entire time, and all he ever used were knives and a bow and arrow. That's it. That's all he had, and really, that's all he needed.
That sounds like a romp.
It it was a very much a romp, and I'm sitting there going, why can't I have space Nazis? I need space Nazis. I'm already saying that I'm part of this is going to be a combination of Mission Impossible and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Space Nazis is perfect. I need space Nazis.
I mean, I can tell you firsthand that it is loads of fun to write and blow up space Nazis. Because it's really, really fun to figure out how to have like sticky thermite bombs go on the huge space, like 9-foot space Nazi walkers, and then just eat through them. That's really fun to write.
One of the particular scenes in this movie that I liked, it is not one that's going to give away any plot points for anybody that hasn't seen it. They kill a butt ton of Nazis in this. There is no mercy whatsoever, and they kill them in horrible, terrible ways, or just casually shoot them dead. That kind of nonsense. And in the big attack scene, Henry Cavill chances across a ship's boy on one of the Nazi ships and looks at him and then steps aside and points at the rail. Go. Go. And he lets the boy live. So that was an interesting choice that speaks to the character's personality, the main character's willingness to go his so limits. Far but no farther.
Yeah, his limits. What was it? There's a line from freaking Tombstone, and I can't remember what it was that Doc Holliday said, but yeah, basically what it comes down to is there is a wall that you will not cross. Period. End of story.
It makes me wonder if the actual historical figure had that happen to him, and they included it because it was historical fact. And I don't know that it was, but it would make sense.
Interesting. Very interesting.
But that was my high point for the week. If you haven't seen the movie, I recommend you go see it. It was a lot of fun.
I watched True Detective Night Country, and that was rather interesting. It basically it doesn't quite cross the line, but it really tries to cross the line into magical realism at the end. It does make a kind of a case for that. I don't know. I need to talk to somebody else who's seen it. But essentially, it was a really interesting watch. A lot of ridiculous characters who are just fun to be around, even though some of the things they're dealing with are horrible.
Is it you that's making that humming noise on occasion, Paul?
I hope not.
I'm hearing it.
I don't hear
like
a hum.
A background hum.
If I don't hear a hum, it's probably me. Did that make it go away?
No, I think that might be me.
Oh.
Hang on. Let me mute.
I'm still hearing it.
Okay.
Paul, mute yourself, Paul. It's gone.
That's
it's
very weird.
With you, Paul.
That's weird because I can hear a hum here. But
yeah, Reed, it probably is your problem. T. Reed. I think Night Country represented a shift to female-centered horror that I liked.
It was so good.
I liked it a lot.
And the soundtrack was amazing.
Oh, God, yes.
I've heard Annabelle, the vampire thing with the young lady vampire, was a pretty good horror entry.
I thought with as much, usually when they show that much in the previews, you have to sit there and go, okay, they showed us the entire movie because it's all they had to show us that was worth the shit. So sometimes when I see so much in a trailer, I go, but I don't know. I'll probably stream it when it comes out just because I like bad horror movies. I don't know why. Some strange compulsion with me. Abigail, that's what it's called.
Okay.
Is simply a reworking of Dracula's Daughter. Have not seen that. Interesting. Uraga's in the internet tubes. No, if that were the case, people would be getting laid worldwide in a big, big way.
I'm looking for the downside.
I didn't say there was a downside. I simply said that would be the reality. So anyway, I highly recommend that. The soundtrack is very haunting in places and pretty crazy, but it was really good stuff.
Oh, the music on the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was interesting. It had hints of the music you would hear in the old westerns, but it wasn't solely like that. It had that kind of mixed with lots of percussion and other stuff. It was actually a very different kind of soundtrack, and I liked it.
Interesting. Interesting. You know, our small talk section has gone 20 minutes now.
Well, you know, sometimes small is big.
We're sitting there jabbering and jabbering and jabbering. Wow, it's Juan. I'm not putting that up on the screen. It's funny that we you know, V wanted to talk about this considering we just had a reset episode like 2 weeks ago.
So a reset of the reset.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous that we're doing this again. But guess what? That is life, because here we are again.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have to retalk a subject because really, honestly, this show is about us three writers and creators, you know, working through our own issues. And if you're listening, you know, that's your problem, not ours.
Yeah. Well, that, and sometimes you don't believe things until you're told it like 5 different times by 10 different people. So this is...
You're setting your reset because of your reset. Yes, Brett. That's exactly right.
Yeah, that tracks. But yeah, I suggested this because with everything that's so usually spring is a break, or it's like stuff is less for me and I can catch up on projects, and that has not been the case lately. Because like I've got one kid's graduating college, one kid's graduating high school. There's a lot of like moving around. There's planning for the summer. There's volunteer stuff I do for narration and then for the kids' school. And just like, oh my gosh, you spend so much time jumping from project to project or commitment to commitment that you waste all of your executive functioning energy, and then you can't write. Or you just don't have the energy to create, and trying to get back into that flow is really difficult. And I was thinking about, there's some things that I know I do that make it easier to get started. And usually it's routines. It's hacking the day-to-day so that I have less that I have to think about doing. And I just kind of slide into it.
We keep talking about trying to do one thing at a time instead of trying to do a whole bunch of things.
Right. And that's important. But what I'm saying is giving yourself fewer choices.
Okay.
Because when you have too many choices, it's like when people who have not shopped in U.S. supermarkets, they come over here and they go into, Walmart or Kroger or what have you, and you are faced with 50 different varieties of breakfast cereal. You freeze. You're like, shit, what do I do? Am I picking Cheerios, or am I picking the generic brand? Am I picking Rice Krispies or the generic brand? Am I picking Corn Flakes or Frosted Flakes? And you're standing in the middle of the aisle, your brain is short-circuiting, and you have no knowledge of why you're actually there, but you have to get cereal, but now you have to pick which one. Whereas if you go to grocery stores that are based on a more European model, you don't have that many options. There's usually a store brand, and that's it.
Interesting.
I shop at Aldi, which is a German-based store, and it is things, but it's easier because you just go in and there's one brand of sandwich bread. There is one brand of cookie. There, oh, I mean, there are different styles, but I'm not going back and forth. So it's literally I get what I need, boom, boom, boom. And okay, JR, sorry. Aldi of being the rich people store, dude.
You never been to
Trust
one.
It is not the rich people store.
No,
No, not at all. Not at
not
all.
at all. Yeah.
Brett
No,
said 77% of consumers say they remain loyal to a specific brand for 10 years or more. You have a 60 to 70% chance of selling to an existing customer versus a 5 to 20% chance of selling to a new prospect. Interesting.
Once you get brand loyalty, people don't switch unless there's a reason to.
No, and that's the thing. If you find a routine or something that works, you don't have to change it. Not that, if you've ever read like the habits of super successful people, they wind up setting up routines. And that can be anywhere from maybe you always have the same brand of coffee. You always get the same brand of coffee creamer if you use it. But it can go as far as having the same thing for breakfast every morning if you eat breakfast. Having a routine for what you do for lunch. If you work for yourself and you don't have like a work at home uniform, simply like reducing the choices you have to get dressed in the morning that cues your brain, okay, I am in my work clothes. That actually helps.
Pants optional.
Not maybe at your house, but
His house, in his backyard, pants are optional. Okay? Underwear is optional in his backyard. Not to mention his
take
shirt.
that, drones from my neighbors. Ha ha ha.
my eyes. But like, so my usual work day, like uniform, for lack of a better word, is like jean leggings because they're comfy. Don't judge me. And a t-shirt and a hoodie. And it's just, I'm always cold or hot, but having the hoodie, the jacket, it's like the Mr. Rogers thing. I put my little cardigan on and I sit down and work.
I've got my pants. I've got my Pilo cat shirts.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. And yeah, they are jeggings. What about it? My butt looks great in them. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yep.
No, talking food and whatnot, breakfast for me when I get up in the morning is I've got a frozen breakfast burrito that I heat up in the microwave. I have some milk with it and a banana. That's my breakfast. For lunch, I'll have a couple of pieces of bread and some peanut butter on them. Or maybe I'll have a regular sandwich of some kind. Dinner is where things get different. But the early morning routine is pretty much the early morning routine.
Yep. Same here. I found a lot of mine I have to cue because different things that you eat can affect your voice. So I have to be really careful about what I eat, but it's peanut butter and jelly and rice cakes because I've learned that there's no dairy in that. Works fine for my stomach. I'm full the whole morning and coffee. But oatmeal.
Breakfast of champions.
Looking in the chat, it appears that JR thinks that your choice of jeggings makes you a supremacist. I'm not sure exactly what that means or
A butt
why.
supremacist.
A butt supremacist, maybe? Oh, I didn't see the word butt supremacist. There you are.
I like big butts and I can't.
like big butts and I cannot lie.
I'm a 45-year-old mother of 3 living in suburbia. No, I'm just awkward and Caucasian and looking for comfort in my fashion. Thank you. Anyway.
I never heard the term jeggings. I had never heard that before.
Yeah, it's a fashion curse, but
What is it that oh God, the Jay and Silent Bob guy is always wearing jorts. There, it takes me forever to remember the word jorts.
Yeah, they're like longer jean cargo shorts. Yeah, that's. But I do love a good. I'm actually wearing. I do love a good pair of denim capris. My teenage self is probably horrified. But she didn't have very good fashion sense either. Yes, Brett. Any kind of it's not necessarily a blanket rule, I don't think, but I know for me, any kind of dairy. So I used to do protein shakes in the morning with almond milk, but the protein powder that I use has milk in it. So it's like, can't do that.
I did that as well, but for me, it's okay, Brett, because it's not the quality of my voice that matters. The software, even if I sound like crap, the software pulls out my dictation just fine. So I don't have to sound great. I just have to get the words out.
Yeah, as opposed to narration where you actually do have to care about your voice.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have to be able to sustain it for a couple hours. And then I keep in mind, I taught this kind of thing on like a purely academic bit. So having a routine for studying, having a routine so that you didn't worry about what I'm going to do next. You just kind of, jump in. But I found out that I work a lot better. Like the less time I have to think about what I'm going to have for lunch. So I wind up making soup on the weekend. And then I just portion it out into containers. And it's quick. Can do like, chicken and veggies or just like a straight veggie soup and throw that in the microwave, grab a little something on the side with it. And it helps me stay hydrated. So, and then like Terry said, I try to plan out what I'm doing for dinner on the week because there are other people in the house who will go, oh, so what are we having for dinner? I'm like, I have no idea. Or I literally check my planner and go, oh, that's what I wrote down. Past me was a bitch. I don't want to make that right now. But
JR says he's a fashion disaster, so he doesn't judge. Rest easy, B. I was just being cheeky.
He thinks he's being clever using the word cheeky since we were talking about butts.
And he had to point it out to us.
That's okay.
That's best hint I have for voice is Hunty.
Hunty?
Honey.
Oh dear, honey.
Especially locally sourced honey, as it has the same pollens, etc., in the air. And it's in the air that you're.
Actually, yeah, honey. When it's really really bad here, I will get like a bag of lemons and I'll get a mason jar and I'll fill it half with honey. I do have locally sourced honey that is called swamp honey because the pollen. So honey will take on the color of the pollen. Mm-hmm. The pollen that this particular batch.
It's black.
It's green.
That matches swamp.
Okay.
And so when I take that and I went and squeeze all the lemons in there and put the honey in there and shake it, it's a little off-putting, but it works. And then sometimes I'll grate ginger in there as well and then pour hot water over it.
I bought tea to go ahead and try some of the British tea that Matt recommended, and I still haven't tried it. It's still sitting somewhere in the kitchen. I haven't tried it at all. I don't even know where the box is anymore.
Are two separate things.
I have to go hunt it up. I don't even remember P&G. No, I don't remember who.
PG Tips.
PG Tips is what I got, but I haven't actually had any, so I don't know if it's any good or not.
Oh no,
never had it. I've heard the name in several different movies and TV series, including Halloween 2. Strangely enough, the remake, the Rob Zombie remake. Wow, why did I come up with that reference?
Because, well, to be fair, one of the reasons that you want to make things as simple as possible is because on some days you have to trick your neurochemicals into behaving, and by giving yourself the fewest number of options so you can just slide into whatever routine you need to, it helps you stay focused. And I was trying to think of the book where I had read this, because they talk about not just having the routine and simplifying your choices, but chaining your habits so that you go one thing after another. And the book is Atomic Habits, I think, by James Clear.
While you're looking at that, I'll talk about how I chain my habits in the morning. I eat breakfast
Does it
when I get
include
up.
cats? I hope it includes cats.
It does include cats because I get up. Romeo has to have his insulin shot, and so he has to be fed separately in our bedroom, so that happens. I get the cats fed, then I feed my wife and myself, then I make a cup of coffee and take my morning medication, then I write a chapter, then I have lunch. Oh, and I have a cup of coffee in the middle of that somewhere as well. And after lunch, I record that second chapter, and then my day becomes freeform because I'm done with the day for writing purposes. But I do those things always in that order every day. And if I get off on doing it, if I have to go run a chore in the morning, it screws me up badly.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one who sees having to leave the house in the middle of my workday as a personal affront. That sounds.
Mistress B says change your habits. You were saying, B?
Sorry, I'm having images of nuns' clothing and chains, and it's not helping at all.
Go ahead and make a note for your OnlyFans channel when you finally get that going. Nuns with chains.
But are they wearing chastity belts? Inquiring minds
Do
wanna
they
know.
need it? I mean, these are nuns. Do they really need a chastity belt?
Anyway, so
Depends on era and ruler, or excuse me, Pope. And what you're writing.
oh. Anyway, so I posted the link to James Clear's book, his website there. So you can see what it is. There is an audiobook. For me, this is the sort of thing I wouldn't listen to as an audiobook. I'd actually like read the book and take notes because it's not that it's dense material, but there's a lot of like actionable things that you can do, and you may need to like pause and write down notes or ideas for yourself. But that's my take. Yeah. But yeah, I hate like so I leave the house in the morning to go to the gym, but I don't. It's literally I grab breakfast, leave the house, go to the gym, come back, clean up, and then I start working. If I have to do anything else after leaving the gym, it could be the text that says, "I forgot this. Can you bring it to school and drop it off?" Son of a. It's happening more and more often, and I get really annoyed by it because I'm like, you need to have, keep your own ibuprofen with you, please.
Rick Shaw. Yep, nuns. I went there too. Dom nuns. All you old Catholics will remember that penguins float.
9 years of parochial school.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Routine is something for other people right now in my life because the last 4 weeks have been anything but. I have made more phone calls and talked more on the phone this month than I probably have in like a year.
I'm sorry. That's like the thing I hate the most. So, ow.
And then all the driving I've had to do and all the other things I've had to do, including babysitting and all sorts of other shenanigans, have really just fucked up everything. And I'm having a hell of a time getting back on track, as a matter of fact. And it's not for lack of knowing what to do. It's not for this, that, and the other, but it's been so hopelessly difficult to focus on anything for more than like 10 or 20 minutes before it just all crumbles. So the routine is what needs to get back in place because I had one and it was working and I fell off the routine, and getting back into it's just going to be hell. So I got to retrain the dog. I got to retrain me, and it's going to suck, but I don't think there's any other way to fix this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. My other question is there anything that you can do that used to be part of your routine, or that you could make part of your routine that completely occupies your brain so you cannot think of anything else? Like you have to focus on this one thing.
Man, I wish.
Okay. Because for me, going to the gym does that.
Mhm.
I do classes at the gym, and there's enough of having to follow a beat or follow certain exercises to a beat. Because I'll do either a spin class or a dance class, and I cannot think about anything else. If I think about something else, I will fall off the damn bike, and that would be super, super embarrassing, considering that my feet are locked into the pedals. Um, I can't follow if I don't focus in the dance class, I will miss a beat, and the instructor will call me out because that's how he is. So I have to focus. But the nice thing is, once I get done with that focus time, I can go back to worrying if I need to, or I can go back to thinking about something and it doesn't hurt as much. Not that your brain hurts, but I think Brett's trying to picture Paul in a spin or salsa fitness class.
I totally want to see Paul in a salsa fitness class.
I just want to eat salsa.
You can do both. We don't judge.
Not enough brain bleach, Brett. Heels, a red dress, and rocking it.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that heels in a spin class is exactly safe.
No, and they generally frown on that sort of thing in your standard fitness classes. They tend to be very protective of the floors.
I have worn heels twice in my life, and neither time did it go well. Both times were for theater, but neither time. I mean, I couldn't do it. I just could not do it. I was going to kill myself. I was just going to fall over. My balance was not that. You do not want to see me in heels.
It's actually really funny. So they're one of the results of the COVID years with people working at home, because people who often wore heels to work, and I was one of them. When I worked in an office, I wore heels most of the time. And when I was no longer working in an office and no longer had to go out and look like I worked in an office, people's feet changed. Like you, after not wearing them for so long, you lose that ability, and you wind up walking differently. I mean, right now, if I wear heels when I'm in Vegas at that conference, that's the most I've worn them all damn year. Sometimes on a cruise ship when I'm like vacationing, but otherwise, nope.
You know what I wear around the house when I'm working?
Socks.
Socks.
Yeah. Same.
Brett says across the street he had stripper aerobics and they wore heels. Special floor though.
Stripper aerobics.
That would be so much fun.
Stripper aerobics. Huge merch opportunity, Brett. Mr. Smee's workouts. Yeah.
And here we go. Another note for the OnlyFans channel.
It'd be a great core workout, but
Matt says I had to learn to dance Cuban heels for a specific competition. Only an inch, and they nearly crippled my calf muscles.
Yeah,
I believe it. I couldn't do it, man. My big ass white ass feet trying to fucking balance on that shit. I'm not built for it. I did not have the ability to do that.
Nope. I think the tallest ones I have in my closet that I still wear. Hello, Julius. I think they're 3-inch. They're 3-inch heels.
I don't know how.
And I have walked a 5K in them. Not intentionally, but I was walking like around campus one day, and I.
Brett says, Matt, they force you to lean forward, and it makes your dance stance easier. I hate myself for knowing this.
No, you don't. Be honest. Yeah. You don't hate that you know this.
And as a writer, you should never hate having a bunch of seemingly useless knowledge, because it will come up at some point. You never know. I am
There's only esoterica.
Mm.
There are no facts. There is no information. There is no thought. There is only esoterica.
Wow. Wow.
I think the routine is the biggest problem getting back into, and I think the routine is biggest problem establishing it to begin with. And I honestly don't even remember what my routine was. It's been so long.
Sometimes that means you have to change it. And
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I'm
gonna
sorry.
say you don't have.
I tell you what, Terry, shut the fuck up. V, go.
I was going to say, sometimes when you fall completely out of your old routine, that means it's not working for you. And you have to revamp it because the circumstances around it have changed. And I know,
external events.
yeah. And that's, for me, I think that's the hardest thing because I know my routine is going to change in a month, and it's not going to be the same for 3 months. The summer is fucked. It's nicely fucked. It's politely fucked because of other commitments, but I can't stick to my usual routines. And then when I go into the fall, it's going to change again. I will no longer have my reprieve of not having to drive as much because my transportation, Ginger, is going to college. So now I got to go pick up the other kid all the time. And I'm going to be bitter about that because it's going to cut into the routine. So I have to figure out something else.
Take out a fourth mortgage so you can afford to get the kid a car.
She's only 15.
Get a hardship license.
I don't think we do that in Florida. And do I really want to put my baby at the mercy of Florida drivers? I think not.
Learn now. Learn
She'll
now.
kill
It's
them.
Darwin's law. It's Darwin out there. It's politely fucked. You're missing an opportunity there.
URLs I should get. Oh
He
my
says,
goodness.
get politely fucked. What does that mean exactly? I don't know.
I don't know. Is that in a different accent? Do I need to
Pardon
do it
me while I do this thing.
politely?
Oh, excuse me. Did I bump you inappropriately? How awkward.
Where the hell is this coming from?
Oh,
Pardon me, but do you have any Grey Poupon?
that of course.
I need bourbon. I need so much bourbon. Holy shit. I never thought that Terry would drive me to drink, but man, he's doing it today.
It was the accent and the head and shoulder movement, the pairing of it.
Can you see I'm being a jackass? Yeah.
That's what I was trying
Too
for.
much more of myself. What I say is very important. You should pay attention.
Oh my gosh.
If you're looking for a good recommendation on manscaping, I suggest you don't speak with Paul Cooley.
Look, leave my bush alone, okay? All right, there's just well-manicured shrubbery down there. You know.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing.
Well, since you were going to share the things about my nethers, I thought I would set the record straight. Yeah, these are horrible accents. I
Like
can't
an
help it.
angry badger. Really.
No, it's like a rhododendron bush.
Make a
An
note.
angry
Badger Productions.
An angry badger crossed over with a rhododendron bush that was struck by a weed whacker.
You want to add any more conditionals on this? Brett says, kids, pro tip, never open the Facebook stream. It has subtitles. Oh, shit!
What are they?
Technically,
accurate?
so does the YouTube one. If you turn those on, you can also see them. Oh, my God. I did not know that. Wow. I can't wait to see what that came across like, because I could do that.
Oh, goodness gracious. So, yeah.
A weed whacker. It just bleeped me. It said, "Oh, fuck you,
Oh my,
Meta.
that was, oh my stars. All the stars.
Oh my stars, I'm gonna get the vapors."
Oh, I get the
Oh,
vapors a lot.
so how would I blow up my routine?
I would recommend that you start with one thing.
Hmm.
If that's what I was going to say earlier, that interfered with both of us trying to talk at once, was if you can't restore your full routine, pick one thing to start over again and use that as the base from which to build on.
Okay, torture cat. Got it.
Not so.
No. But even if it's like, if you need to start the routine, it's like, okay, write for 20 minutes.
Ah, therein lies part of the problem. Jared
When
says she
you
tried hooking me
when
up with her mom.
when you glance into the chat and see a random comment that you don't have any context for, and you go, "Oh."
I believe it's the context is the lady who cuts my balding hair is Welsh. I had to go looking for it, but it is there. Yeah, that seemed out of left field because of how much stuff was in the chat. That's pretty
Yep.
damn funny.
Yep. And the other thing I would say is find a way to track that one habit, because it's a way to gamify it. If you can just keep that one habit going, even if it's just, a bunch like magnets on the wall or a calendar where you just put a check mark there, and set the bar low. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but whatever one thing you're going to add, you're going to start to reestablish the routine, make sure it's something you can do, and that you're going to, and it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It could be, like I said, it could literally be write for 10 minutes. And that's it. And just getting back on track of writing for 10 minutes. And then if you, take a 20-minute walk.
Yeah, the walk thing is going to be big. If I just get back to that, that'd be a start.
So then start the walk, whichever you think is going to be the one thing that kind of pushes everything else. Yeah. And that, when I started doing the routine thing, my first task is always make my bed. At least that way you've achieved one thing, which makes every other thing easier. Exactly. For some people, it's making the bed. For others, it's, the one or two things that start your day that, like, okay, I did that. I'm good.
I did something.
Exactly.
Because
something is better than nothing.
I'm spending probably 20 to 30 hours a week right now on other shit. So it's like really difficult to get back into handling the things I used to handle. But I'm trying to get that under control now. I got probably another 30 to 40 hour week ahead of me, and then hopefully things will calm down. Hopefully. What? I missed something.
The start by making your bed routine.
Right.
It's a very common suggestion. And it does work. It's for Gen Xers, Mr. Rogers. Think about that I'm serious, think about the entire routine. Walks in, takes off the windbreaker, takes off the whatever, work shoes, puts them away, puts on the cardigan, puts on the tennis shoes. And now we are ready to do, the show that begins the routine. And then you close by doing it in reverse. And then you're done. So it's those little things. And if the kind of like the side bit of, if you don't know how to like close down your day so that you can like not think about work and give yourself some space, which is my challenge, have a closing routine. I try to clear my desk, log out of everything. I have curtains in here, so I close the curtains, and if I don't have work, I am not in this space. Hockey helps. I just sit on the couch and grab yarn and start watching hockey. Start listening to hockey while I'm counting stitches.
Brett says Mr. Rogers was like some creepy next level OCD monster. I blame Miss Elaine for my love of horror.
Lady Elaine Fairchild was awesome.
Was that the one?
Pathological, but awesome. She's the one who lived in the museum go around.
I've slept since then. I don't even remember. I remember Mr. Rogers drove my mom fucking nuts. She's 83 years old and she'll still bitch about Mr. Rogers.
Oh no, I loved Mr. Rogers because at least at the end of every season you had the musical episode, the opera episode, and that was like for me that was the best thing ever. But
I don't know anymore.
Yeah. And in the chat, Rick points out, Dad was Marines, everything structured routine. Yeah. Like my parents, my dad ran TV newsrooms. It happens at a specific time, every time. Fun story. It was actually to the point where, because I used to carpool in the morning to go to school, because my first class was at 6:45, and wanted to share the torment of having to drive your children to school. And the folks who picked me up, they would time it by when the weather segment ended for the CBS broadcast at the station where my dad worked, because they knew, because he ran the newsroom, that it would always be on time. Mm-hmm. So literally it would start at 6:17. It would end by 6:20. They would be at my door at 6:23. It was ridiculous.
I have a routine for this show. I take a short nap. I take a shower. I come downstairs. I get something to eat. I play a little game, and then I play some XCOM, and then I get back on the computer, set things up, and then hopefully I'm a couple of minutes early for 2:30 to try and check a few things, and then 2:30, 2:32, somewhere in there, Terry shows up or you show up, and then suddenly we're in pre-show.
Yeah, same. But that, knowing that you have a routine for this means you can totally establish another routine.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
You want to trade? Because mine involves, curlers and makeup, and a whole lot of good that does me, because it gets yanked back into a ponytail because it looks like shit today. So,
Paul could definitely use some curlers. Honestly,
these are Velcro curlers. I don't know. I have to break out like the hot rollers with the little clips.
No,
he could deal with some waxing, maybe.
I won't disagree.
I don't provide that service.
Yeah,
another note for the OnlyFans page.
Nope. I am not providing aesthetic services. That stuff is outsourced.
Hey, call me.
I see.
Well, taking notes from his OnlyFans. Right.
Paul and curlers. No. God, no. Brett says his waxing is outsourced too.
I can't hear waxing and not think of Deuce Bigalow, honestly.
I'm so glad I have not seen this.
You should.
Oh, JR, sweet summer child.
You've got a comment or question about this episode, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can find me on Mastodon at Paul_E_Cooley at VYRSC.social. You can find us on Facebook at Facebook.com. I shouldn't say Facebook.com. I don't even know if that's the URL. The Dead Robot Society writing community, where we wrangle all the madness. You can find us at YouTube at youtube.com/DRS podcast, where we are live every Saturday at 3 p.m. CST, barring natural disasters and personal business that gets in the way. Like and subscribe so you know when we're live. And if you want to support the show, you can find us at patreon.com/DRS podcast and buymeacoffee.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $2 a month, because I need to change that, $2 a month, you get access to exclusive After Dark shows, which going to show up in about 10 minutes.
Which may or may not include curlers and waxing and maybe some gray poupon.
We don't have enough time to deconstruct this. And if you support the show at the $10 level, you get your name read. Save that. That's After Dark material. That's After Dark gold, baby. And our $10 patrons are Nate Cosby, Antoine Batts, Tony L. Joy, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Isabel Cushy, and Tim Niederreiter. Thank you to all of our patrons for making this show possible. And with that, we are going to get out of here so we can go, get ready for the onslaught that will be After Dark, because I know you sickos are coming. And that sounded really bad. With that, we are out of here, and we will see you next week.
Paul in chains!
Go Avalanche!